Society accepts gender affirming care until trans people need it. Let's talk about it. We just reached 65,000 subscribers. Y'all are crazy. I love you so much. You don't understand what this means to me. I'm trying so hard to not only pursue my passion, but to give you guys the content you deserve. The more you engage, the more I'm gonna deliver. And honestly, like with you guys showing your love and support for my channel, I'm coming out of my shell. You might not know because you haven't seen the full side of like Kyle, but like I know that my personality is not being fully present, and it's because of my shy awkwardness. Y'all deserve to know the real me. You deserve to get to know all of Kyle. Like I'm hiding a lot, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to like not be shy and like weird. Anyway, thank you so much. Oh, we are so close. We got this, fam. We got this. Besides that, let's talk about this. It needs to be talked about. Like, what are we doing? Some people are probably like tilting their head like, Kyle, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Well, I mean exactly what I said. I'm gonna leave right here just what gender affirming care means, and just keep that in your mind as we go through this conversation, because I know a lot of you guys within the trans community, you probably obviously get what I'm talking about, or if you don't, like this is gonna make you fully aware. And for those who are not a part of the community, to kind of help you open your eyes to see the similarities between two groups of people just trying to get care that makes them feel better about themselves, and how one group of people is treated so much more poorly than the other. The other day, I made a TikTok that ended up going viral, and I used a very dramatic scenario and comparison, which drew in a lot of attention. And that's exactly what I wanted to do, because I wanted people to realize that like, that is kind of true. So when it comes to gender affirming care, obviously it is something that nowadays people see is for transgender people. It is a care that helps us feel better about ourselves, whether that be through physically transitioning with surgeries, whether that be through HRT, hormone replacement therapy. That is something that I did, as well as chest surgery. That is something that I did. And it was a care that I needed, me alone. I can't speak for the rest of the trans community. I can't speak for non-trans people, but for me alone, it was a care that I needed to live my full and authentic self without feeling the need to no longer be present on this earth. It is a care that I needed. And as a full-grown, responsible adult, it was something that I took action in and made happen. So the reason people put such a bad name around trans people transitioning and using gender affirming care is because they associate it with religion, which already in itself is not valid. You cannot put your feelings in what you believe religion is into what others do with their body. And that right there is putting such a bias on why they think it's okay for people who aren't trans to do things to their body, but isn't okay for trans people to do to theirs. So on my TikTok, I made a video and I did a little scenario skit where I was pretending to talk to somebody, and they were saying, being trans is wrong. God never makes mistakes. You should have left your body as it was, because when you came into this world, God did not make a mistake when he created you. So me, being the petty person I am, I was like, well, if that's the case, then why do you have tattoos? Why do you wear contacts? Why does your child wear braces? And that got people like so mad. Now everyone's jumping down my throat. That's not the same. That's so small compared to what you trans people do with your body. You know how it goes. I purposely did that scenario, even though I could have taken a different approach with it. I used that scenario because it goes to show that it's okay when you do something to your body, when you didn't come into this world that way, but when we do something because you don't agree, now it's a problem. Some of these people were saying, oh, well, tattoos are symbolic. Now all of a sudden people's got the answers of like, oh, tattoos are okay. And then another person was saying, oh, well, when it comes to wearing contacts and glasses and getting braces to fix your teeth, it's because they are helping you. And it's like, that's exactly what trans people are using gender affirming care for. It's to help people. Obviously, gender affirming care is different than getting braces, wearing contacts, but my point was trying to get across as well, if we're going to use the route of religion and the way that you interpret the Bible, if we're going to use that, if God doesn't make mistakes, then your teeth should remain crooked. Especially if we're going to use a specific scenario of there's nothing wrong with your teeth aside from them being crooked and you don't like getting bullied about it. That's not a legitimate enough reason in your eyes. If we're going to take the Bible approach, that's not a legitimate reason to go have your teeth fixed. And if you came into this world with blurry vision, then why do you need to wear contacts? Like, at the end of the day, God made you that way for a reason. Tattoos, you didn't come into this world with tattoos, symbolic or not. God did not grant you with tattoos as a newborn baby, so why do you have tattoos? Obviously, yes, the comparisons were extremely extreme, but I still did it on purpose because I knew it would draw people in to realize, well, if we're going to say that God doesn't mess up, then you shouldn't have done anything to your body, and you should have kept your body exactly the way it was when you came into this world. Now, on a more comparable comparison, I will continue to say what is very similar to transgender gender affirming care is all of the affirming care that cisgender people get on a daily basis, whether that be BBLs, lip fillers, hair transplants. I don't know the specific terminology, but when people get fat taken off their body because they're overweight or whatever, or get their stomach shrunk so that they don't eat as much so that they can keep off weight, all of those things, eyebrow lifts, cheek lifts, all these plastic surgeries are affirming care, and some of them actually do get categorized in gender affirming care. When a cisgender woman gets surgery to get their breasts bigger, guess what? That's gender affirming. There's even cisgender men who get like bicep implants. All of those things are affirming care, gender affirming care, or age affirming care. It's a affirming care, very similar to gender affirming care for transgender people. Obviously, yes, there are still some people who are against that as well. But us as trans people are constantly being fought against to have our rights to these gender affirming cares stripped from us simply because these people just don't think it's necessary. It's funny how people don't think gender affirming care is necessary for us, yet they don't go through what we're going through to even know if it's necessary. You see, you guys, the thing that bothers me the most about people that are just so against the trans community is they want to fight so hard to get rights taken away from us that have absolutely nothing to do with them. A lot of people's argument is, well, gender affirming care is just going too far. You shouldn't change your whole gender, your whole identity to feel better about yourself. Who's changing their whole identity? How would you know whose identity is being changed? Being transgender has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with changing one's identity. Our identity has always been consistent, but the way you see us has not. And it's because we take the steps through gender affirming care to have our exterior, whatever that may look like, through HRT or surgeries. We have access to the gender affirming care so that our exterior matches what's within. Nothing about within us is being changed. And that's what a lot of these people think we're doing. And it's not. They have it all wrong. And that's what's super frustrating. At this point, taking away the right to have gender affirming care for our trans community is nothing but taking advantage of your religious belief and having power. That's all it is. Trying to take away trans rights is just you having power. You want power. You want to be able to have power over people that have not shit to do with you. And then the only argument that some people have is, well, I just don't want this to start being a thing with children. You're not worried about the children. You're not even worried about your own children. Some of y'all don't even love your children. But you're using that as leverage to take away the rights for people like myself, because what I do to my body affects 0 people when it comes to gender affirming care and a lot of things. It's all about power and telling people what they can and can't do to their own body. Moral of the story is, when it comes to gender affirming care, everyone should have access to it if they want to. And when I say that, I'm speaking on an adult level. At the end of the day, when you turn 18 years old, you have the right to do pretty much anything you want. So why people are trying to stick their nose in everyone's business on what they do with their body is beyond me, besides wanting power. To close this in, we need to be consistent. If cisgender people continuously have access to BBLs, this, that, and the third, which I personally have nothing against. I'm not using this to say that I think it's a problem. I don't think any of it's a problem because it has shit to do with me. It's power. Some of you guys are power hungry. You're power hungry because you know it has nothing to do with you. But because being trans is so foreign to your little head, you want to take away the right for someone else to identify that way. Who are you to say that being trans is fake or real if you don't experience it? Of course it sounds crazy to change the way your exterior looks because you don't feel like one gender versus the other. Of course that sounds crazy, but you don't go through it. It's supposed to sound crazy, but it's an experience for someone else. So if you are somebody who really believes that gender affirming care should be present, whether you're trans or not, continue to advocate, continue to help, and make it known that gender affirming care is happening everywhere, not just for trans people.